Doki Doki Isekai Club. Chapter 0, Prelude. Shinji Nakama, a man whose body is riddled with deep scars, sits on a rock to watch the sun set over the horizon. His white hair flowing in the wind. He is among the last few hundred humans alive. Something that was his doing. It ends the same way it all started, being alone. Shinji's words had no emotion behind them. Slowly, he took his gun from his holster and cocked it. Then pointed it at his temple. He stayed to watch the sun fully set before. Bang! Shinji takes his own life, his body falling onto the ground next to where he was sitting, the blood from his temple staining the grass red. When Shinji awoke, he was in a dark area, almost like a void. So, this is hell. He thought to himself. Not quite Mr. Nakama, a voice rings through the void. It was calm, warming, and even gentle. Shinji looked around trying to find out where the voice is coming from. But everywhere he looks, it's all the same, an empty void. As Shinji was about to give up, a light engulfed the void. It was blinding, shielding the body of the voice that spoke out. Shinji Nakama, I've been watching you these past few years. I've seen what's happened to you and your world. Though I don't condone the actions you decided to take, I can't fault you for them. The being reached out and softly caressed Shinji's face. What are you? Shinji asked warily, not sure of what is going on. I am the goddess of forgiveness. I'm here to tell you that I'm willing to give you another chance at life, a normal life, she revealed to Shinji, causing his eyes to widen. Hey, another chance? But, why? Shinji felt as if he didn't deserve a second chance, but the goddess in front of him shushed him. Shinji, deep down, I can see how kind of a soul you are. It's not your fault that the incursion occurred and changed you. The goddess spoke of an event that Shinji wasn't aware of. Incursion. What is that? The goddess began to explain the incursion. An incursion is when two worlds collide and merge. That is what happened to your world. Normally this doesn't cause any issues, only Mandela-like effects. However, the world that merged with you, as you already know, brought in an evil that your world wasn't prepared for. Shinji looked down, thinking about his life the past few years. Maybe that's when the incursion occurred. He couldn't quite figure it out. But the goddess spoke one last time. Shinji, I must have your decision now, before it's too late for your spirit. Shinji took a quick moment to think about it before he gave an answer. Okay, goddess, I'm willing to give life a second chance, especially if I'll live a normal life. I'm ready. The goddess light began to glow brighter. She gave one last message to Shinji before she reincarnated him. I'm sending you to a world where memories from the last and current will be in your mind. Your appearance will be the same but altered to match the new world. And that was it, the final message before Shinji awoke in this new world, in a bedroom he was not familiar with. Chapter 1, The New World. Shinji awoke in a bedroom he was not familiar with. He sat up and looked around. It had been a long time he had woken up in a comfy bed and a clean living space. However, memories flooded his mind, memories he hadn't experienced, just like the goddess had warned. Shinji walked over to the mirror to look if his physical appearance had changed in any way. My hair is still white. Of course, I'll just stand out like this. Shinji then pulled his shirt down and saw his body was still lathered in scars. At least the goddess hasn't had anyone found out about these. At least that's what these memories are telling me. I guess I'll go get some hair dye. It does look like him a decade younger. Does that at least? Shinji got dressed, but was surprised when he realized he had unconsciously put on his school uniform. Oh yeah, I guess I have to go to school now. Oh fuck it, I can skip a day. Shinji walked out of his home and was immediately greeted by someone. Heyy. Shinji. Shinji popped his head up and his eyes widened. Sayori. Exclamation mark. Memories of a childhood where he was friends with a girl named Sayori. Fun adventures flooded his mind before reality kicked in. They hadn't had any contact in quite some time. The young woman, who has coral pink hair, cut chin length and slightly curled at the ends, with a large red bow on the upper left side of her head, came running up to Shinji as he looked at her with a perturbed expression. Wow, you're late too, huh, Shinji? Sayori spoke with her usual energetic nature, so much so she almost didn't notice Shinji's white hair. Sayori perked up and tilted her head. Shinji felt like he was caught red-handed. Shinji, you look like an old man without your hair dyed. Shinji breathed a sigh of relief, thanking the goddess for placing the contingency for him. Ah yeah, I was actually about to go get me some hair dye actually. Shinji tried to walk past Sayori, but she ran right back in front of him. Ooh. I'll come too. We haven't hung out in so long. Sayori was not budging from what she wanted. Don't you got school to go to? Shinji tried to frame it in a way where Sayori would forget about going with him, but that failed to work either. School, schmool, plus I could say the same about you. Shinji sighed. Fine, you can come with me. He reluctantly agreed to let her come with him. He figured it was better than trying to continue to find an excuse all day. Sayori jumped up in joy as Shinji walked to the store. He just arrived in this world and he can already tell it's far from normal, but much better than what he was dealing with before. Chapter 2, The Literature Club. Going to the store with Sayori was anything but enjoyable for Shinji. He hadn't had any positive human interaction in so long, it was just awkward for him. He had grabbed black hair dye and Sayori commented on it to his dismay. Why don't you ever grab any other color besides black? You need some pizzazz in your life. I'd rather not spend all day trying to pick a new color with you. Now come on, you got to get to school. Shinji rushed Sayori out of the store after paying for his hair dye. However, she immediately tries to drag him to school with her. Hey! What the hell are you doing? Shinji asked as Sayori was pulling him by his uniform jacket. You've got to go to school too, don't you? I'm not going today, Shinji revealed, knowing it's only going to start trouble. Sayori looked surprised. You're seriously going to skip a day just to dye your hair? Why yeah, pretty much. Shinji knows he's in a losing battle as he sees Sayori pondering on his response. However, almost as if a light bulb went off in her head, she smirked. Well, it would be a shame if the head teacher found out about that. Sayori began walking around Shinji with her arms behind her back. But I won't say anything if you do me something in return. Sayori gave a sly smirk as she looked up at Shinji. A vein popped out of Shinji's head as he became frustrated. Yeah. And that is? Well, I'm the vice president of this club, and we're looking for new members and all. And let me guess, you want me to join? Well, if you're offering tilde. Why you little? Shinji pinched his nose in between his eyes as he sighed. Fine. I'll join your little club. Now, can I get back home? Shinji reluctantly agreed to join her club as his eyes were narrowed from his agitation. Yay. Sayori jumped around all excited like as she skipped to school, leaving Shinji to ponder on what he got himself on. Later that night, Shinji had just finished dyeing his hair from white to black. Thankfully only Sayori saw me with like that, so I should be able to fit in well, as long as I don't ever have to wear a t-shirt. Having to explain these scars will end up being a pain in the ass. He then started to ponder on the club Sayori was mentioning. He realized she didn't even say what the club even was, but Shinji just shrugged his shoulders. What's the worst that can happen? Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Shinji's first day back in a classroom was surreal. He wasn't used to so many people being in one place, not trying to kill each other, and the material being taught was elementary compared to his own world's curricula. After his final class, Shinji laid his head down on his desk and pondered on the club. He begins asking himself if he even wants to join. Maybe he can make a quick break for it. Suddenly someone wraps their arms around his neck and slams themselves into his back. It was of course, Sayori. Shinji. Stop moabing around. Come on, we have got to get to the club before we're late. Sayori bounced around excitedly to Shinji's dismay. It looks like he's not getting out of this. Sayori grabbed his arm and began to practically drag him to her club, a gigantic smile on her face. Shinji felt awkward as others were glancing at him. Sayori, you don't have to drag me, no. Sayori ignored him as she continued to cheerfully guide him to a room meant for fourth years. Sayori barged in and proudly introduced, everyone, the new member is here. You brought a boy. Geez, what a way to bring the mood down, a small petite girl who has straight pastel pink hair, cut around chin length, and pink eyes. Her bangs are swept to the right, having two prominent strands of hair beside them. Her accessories consist of a red Japanese-style crossed hair clip, as well as two red ribbons tying two small ponytails on either side of her head, with the rest of her hair left down. Her canine teeth are longer than the rest of her teeth, making them visible when she opens her mouth wide enough, spoke with venom in her words, but Shinji wasn't fazed by it, practically ignoring her, which made her even more angry. Another woman spoke up. She has waist-length dark purple hair and light purple eyes and wears a purple beret on the right side of her head, positioned upon her right prominent strand of hair beside her bangs. She is of above average height. Welcome to the Literature Club. Shinji glazed over at Sayori with narrowed, Literature Club, huh? Suddenly someone bumps into Shinji from behind. The voice was feminine. Oh geez, I'm so. The girl has thigh-length coral brown hair that she keeps tied up in a high ponytail that is tied back with a large white bow, curled slightly at the ends. Like the others, she has two prominent strands of hair beside her bangs that reach slightly past her chest. Her eyes are emerald green. She is also of average height. Her eyes widen at seeing Shinji, but Shinji's expression hasn't changed since he arrived. Ah, why are you just looking at me? Shinji asked, starting to become very uncomfortable. The girl shook her head to regain her composure. Ah. Sorry about that. I wasn't expecting anyone else to be here right now. Sayori spoke up cheerfully. This is Shinji. He's agreed to join the literature club. Well, Shinji, welcome to the literature club. It's quite the surprise, a good one nonetheless. Shinji has no idea what to say. When he pictured a normal life, it wasn't as the sole male member of a club filled with women. It just makes him feel awkward. He just looks around at the 4 girls in front of him, which continues to anger the small one. What are you looking at? If you want to say something, then say it. The purple-haired girl called out the small one. Natsuki, don't be so rude to our new member. He's probably just trying to get a feel of everything right now. That's one way to say it, Shinji thought to himself. The small one with the bad attitude's name is apparently Natsuki. Already Shinji doesn't have a positive opinion of her. Natsuki. You made cupcakes, right? Sayori asked excitedly. It seems like she only asked me to join so she could have cupcakes. Seems about right. Sayori begins to introduce everyone after Natsuki tells her to settle down so she can actually go grab the baked goods. That was Natsuki. She's always full of energy. Sayori then whispers in Shinji's ear, you can just ignore her when she's moody. Sayori then turns to introduce the purple-haired girl. This is Yuri, the smartest in the club. Shinji's eyes narrow at Yuri. Memories of his old life begin to flood him, but he just shakes them off for now. Sayori asks if Shinji is alright, to which he assures her that he is. Yuri becomes flustered with Sayori's comment. Please don't say stuff like that. Sayori then turns to the girl who bumped into Shinji, who still looks a bit rattled, and this is our club president. Monica is her name. Monica bows her head slightly without saying a word. Well, it's nice meeting all of you. I'm Shinji Nakama. Shinji greeted all of the girls in his normal demeanor. Yuri stands up. Shinji, what kind of tea do you like? Shinji tells Yuri any kind is fine and she walks away to go grab everyone some tea to drink with Natsuki's cupcakes. The girls had a few desks arranged from a circular table already. Shinji was guided by Sayori to sit in between her and Monica. Natsuki had proudly marched back to the table with a tray wrapped in tinfoil. Okay, are you ready? Natsuki protruded a big smile on her face. She lifts the foil off of the tray to reveal a dozen white fluffy cupcakes decorated as cats. They're so cute. Sayori exclaimed. Shinji allows the girls to grab a cupcake first. He is very hesitant about grabbing one. He hasn't had sweets in so long, it's hard for him to just casually grab one willy-nilly. This is so delicious. Sayori speaks with her mouth full and has already got an icing on her face. Shinji unconsciously grabs something from his uniform jacket and hands it to her without looking at her. His eyes widen as that's the second time he's done something without realizing it. Watching this, Yuri inquires, you two seem very close. Sayori nods happily, yup. We've been friends since childhood. Sayori had a big dumb grin on her face as Shinji looked away embarrassed. However, he notices Natsuki sneaking glances at him. He knows why. She wants him to try out one of her cupcakes. He relents, something he has done many times since coming here and something he will probably have to continue doing. Shinji took a bite, emotions began to flood him, but he stayed strong as to not show them or else he'd blow his cover. It was sweet and full of flavor. Shinji swallowed before he spoke up, this is really good, Natsuki, thank you. Natsuki blushed and looked away, why are you thanking me? Shinji ponders to himself, I feel like I've heard this somewhere before. It's not like I made them for you or anything, Natsuki finished. Shinji decided he wouldn't poke deeper into it. Chapter 3, Learning How to Write. Suddenly a ding could be heard from outside the classroom. No doubt it was Yuri's tea. She immediately stood up to go grab the tea. Shortly afterwards she returns with a platter and some empty cups along with the pot the tea was made in and pours everyone a cup of tea. Doesn't a good cup of tea help you enjoy a good book? Yuri asks Shinji with a cheerful expression. The question causes Shinji to choke on his tea. Yeah, I guess. Don't let yourself get intimidated. Yuri's just trying to impress you, Monica told Shinji, a manner in which was meant to tease Yuri. I don't see why I need to be impressed, Shinji thought to himself as Yuri was blushing from Monica's statement. Yuri almost seemed insulted as she looked away. Don't say things like that. Monica then turned to Shinji with a smile on her face. So Shinji, what made you to decide to join the literature club? Shinji looks at Sayori for a moment before answering. Sayori seemed passionate about it, plus she wouldn't leave me alone about it. Monica's smile turned into a more awkward smile. Yeah, that seems like Sayori alright, she responded to Shinji as Sayori just chuckled to herself. The conversation all shifted to how the club started. All four of the girls seem extremely dedicated to making this club a real success. Shinji kinda felt bad that he didn't care as much as them. They were all extremely different, all interested in the same thing. Yuri then spoke up with a question for Shinji. So Shinji, what kind of things do you like to read? Shinji really had no idea as to how to respond to that. Before he was born into this world, he really hadn't sat down and read anything in about a decade, back when he was a kid. So just blurted out the thing he read a lot back then, manga. That caused Natsuki's head to perk up from her desk as Yuri looked a tad bit disappointed. Not much of a reader, I see. This confused Shinji. Wait, is manga not considered literature in this world? He thought to himself. Well what about you, Yuri? Yuri began to trace the rim of her cup with her finger. Well, let's see. My favorites are normally those with deep and complex fantasy worlds. The level of creativity and craftsmanship behind them is amazing to me, and telling a story in a foreign world is rather impressive to me. Shinji then looked dumbfounded as he thought to himself, wait, isn't that manga with less steps? Yuri continued to passionately explain her preference in literature. She then went on to explain how she has been reading a lot of horror lately. This threw the other girls for a loop. It seemed to have caught him off guard. Really? I wouldn't have expected that from you, Yano, someone as gentle as you, Monica asked, extremely intrigued. Yuri smirked softly. I guess you can say that. Surreal horror is often very successful at changing the way you look at the world, if only for a brief moment. Shinji stopped mid-sip of his tea. He looked disconnected for a brief moment before his name was being screamed in his ear. Shinji. Wake up. Of course, it was Sayori snapping him back to reality before the conversation continued. Ugh, I hate horror, Natsuki muttered. Why's that? Yuri inquired. Natsuki's eyes darted over to Shinji for a quick moment. Well, never mind. That's right, you usually like to write about cute things, don't you, Natsuki? Monica revealed, causing her to blush. What gives you that idea? Natsuki tried to defend herself. It was a poor attempt. Monica then continued, last club meeting, you left a piece of paper titled. Natsuki then interrupted, don't say it out loud. And give that back. Hehehehe, your cupcakes, your poems, everything about you is so cute, Natsuki. Sayori sidles up behind Natsuki and puts her hands on her shoulders. Natsuki hollered, I'm not cute. Monica then sprang up with an idea. Okay. I've got an idea, everyone. Let's go home and write a poem of our own. Then, when we meet tomorrow, we'll share them with everyone. Shinji, Yuri, and Natsuki didn't look like they thought it was a good idea. Sayori on the other hand. Yeah, let's do it. Everyone then reluctantly agrees as Monica dismisses the club for the day. Sayori walks up to Shinji. Hey Shinji, since we're already heading that way, you wanna walk home together? Shinji then recalls the two of them walking home together a lot in the past. He just can't seem to figure out why they stopped, but despite his judgment, he agrees. Sure Sayori, come on. Sayori cheered with joy at Shinji agreeing to walk home with her. As they were on their way home, a man stopped them. It was a somewhat large man, wearing sunglasses, a trucker hat with blue lining, a beard that was graying on top of that. You kids looking to buy? The man said, not breaking eye contact with Shinji and Sayori. Despite Shinji trying to ignore the man and pulling Sayori along with him, the man gets back in front of the two. I'm serious. I'll even throw in a discount. You. He points to Shinji. You. The one with the scar on your face and those eyes that lack emotion. You look like you want, no. Need, a pick-me-up. You look as if you've been through hell, son. Shinji's eyes narrowed at the man. Sayori, get going. Sayori looked dejected. She was really enjoying her walk with Shinji. She was about to protest, but Shinji interrupted her. I'll make it up to you, I promise. Sayori looked down with saddened eyes. Oh, okay. I'll see you tomorrow. Sayori then ran past the man, leaving him alone with Shinji. The man looked at Shinji. So, what do you say, kid? Selling to minors now. What business not good? Shinji mocked the man. No, I can just see when someone is down on their luck. You both look like you wanted to kill yourselves or something. The man sounded jovial, trying to make light of personal struggles. Shinji wasn't hearing it and grabbed the man by the collar of his shirt. The man immediately tried to calm things down. Whoa, kid. I'm not trying to cause trouble. Honest. Shinji's glare was not going away. It almost seemed like a bloodlust was seething from him. Look man, it's on the house, just let me go, please. The man began to throw all of his product at Shinji as he thrown onto the ground. He stumbles to get away, tripping and falling before he makes his escape. As he disappeared into the night, Shinji sat down against a nearby fence. Why did I get so worked up all of a sudden? Whatever the case, I can't let it happen again. Shinji spoke low of himself before glancing at a plump Ziploc bag, filled with joints. He continued to look at them for quite a while. Oh, what the hell, it's free, what's he gonna do about it? Shinji sat up and pocketed the bag before heading home, pondering on what the hell he is even gonna write his poem on. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Shinji was at his desk for hours, trying to figure out where to start his poem, but nothing. It's already 2 in the morning and not a single thing to show for it. Oh fuck me. How am I supposed to write a damn poem if I don't even know where to start? Shinji then accidentally grasped the bag in his jacket pocket. Oh yeah, I still have these. Oh fuck it, at least Monica might tell me to scram if I show up without a poem tomorrow. Shinji then grabbed one out of what seemed like 10s of these joints from the bag. He lit the joint and immediately began to mellow out. He dropped his head. Ain't no fucking way. I've got it. Chapter 4. My friend. Echoes of shadows. In a city of lights and neon glow, where whispers of secrets softly flow, a silent storm begins to brew. In the heart of a boy, unknown to few. A world unseen, a hidden face. A night of change, a fateful chase. Eyes of purple, a treacherous spark. A bond that led him through the dark. Betrayal's sting, a wound so deep. Dreams disrupted, no longer asleep. A quest begins, a silent vow. To cleanse the world, he knows not how. Memories blurred, yet crystal clear. Shadows of past, always near. In a realm of words, he seeks to find peace for the echoes in his mind. This was the poem Shinji finally wrote. He leaned back in his chair and giggled uncontrollably to himself. I don't know why everyone was freaking out for, this is so easy. Shinji looked over at his alarm clock and noticed it was 3 a.m. He realized he better get some sleep so he can catch Sayori in the morning. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The next morning Shinji got up and got ready for school. Something he's done the past 2 mornings before he put his shirt on was to stare at his scarred body, something that was a constant reminder of his past life. He shook off the cobwebs and went outside expecting Sayori to be there waiting for him. Huh. Weird, maybe I should go check up on her, Shinji says to himself, closing the door behind him and immediately goes next door to Sayori's house. Shinji walked up to Sayori's door and knocked, no answer. Shinji reached for the doorknob and turned it. It's not locked. He thought to himself before letting himself in. Shinji looked around, the lights were all off. He looked upstairs, and even then the lights weren't on, even in Sayori's room. Yo. Sayori. Come on. Gotta get going. Shinji called for Sayori but no answer still. Shinji walks up to Sayori's bedroom and knocks. Hey. You up? No answer. Shinji shakes his head before opening her door. Yo. Sayori. You good? Shinji asked as he walked in. There she was, looking up at the ceiling, lying on her bed. She turned her head and looked at Shinji. Her eyes were the same as his, dead, lifeless, emotionless. Shinji made his way over to her, stepping over her mess of a room. He sat down against her bed. Hey, what's up? The room was silent for quite a bit. Shinji didn't mind it, however, but Sayori did eventually speak up. I am sorry, Shinji. Her voice was hoarse, as if she had been crying all night. I don't know why you're apologizing for. Just take your time, there's no rush, Shinji told Sayori. Sobbing could then be heard from above Shinji where Sayori was lying down at. Shinji didn't say anything as Sayori sobbed softly, allowing her to get it out of her system. Eventually Sayori sat up next to Shinji. The two looked at each other for a moment before Sayori finally stood up and looked at Shinji with a fake smile. I'll go get ready. We really don't want to be late. Sayori walked out of her room, leaving Shinji alone. He surveyed the room. It was a mess, but it looked like pieces of crumbled up paper. It looks like Sayori was having trouble with her poem. But something else caught Shinji's eye. He stood up and walked over to Sayori's desk. It looked like something was sloppily stuffed inside the top drawer. Shinji opened the drawer and his eyes immediately narrowed with sadness and realization. It was a noose in her drawer. Since he arrived in this new world, he knew Sayori was faking her happiness. That's something he can't be fooled with. He's seen it time and time again. He's more used to it than he cared to admit. Shinji quickly grabbed the noose and stuffed it into his jacket. closing the drawer before Sayori walked in. "Hey, is everything okay, Shinji?" Sayori asked, obviously hiding something. Shinji didn't say anything as he walked over to Sayori. He pulled her close to him and held her. Sayori blushed, not knowing where this is coming from. Shinji's mind is flooded with memories of him and Sayori that aren't really his, but forces him to act upon. "Stop trying to fight your battle alone. You have people who care deeply about you." Shinji tells Sayori this, and she immediately breaks down into tears. "I don't understand anymore. Why now? Why?" After so long, Sayori pleaded for answers, but Shinji had none to give. He didn't know how to answer. Sayori pushed away slightly, still being in Shinji's embrace, but enough to look at him in the face, wet tears streaming down her face. "For years, I've wondered why you left. I thought I wasn't good enough. But now that you're back, it's just not the same. You're different. Everything about you is different. I thought having you join the club would help. Maybe seeing the others happy would make me feel better, but it just made me feel worse." Sayori began pouring out all of her worries to Shinji as he just looked down at her, his eyes attempting yet failing to show sympathy. To show her he knows how it feels to want to commit suicide, but as he found out the hard way, it isn't the correct path to take. Sayori continued, "You've become distant, Shinji. Like a stranger. The boy I spent all the time with is gone. It hurts so much, Shinji. Sometimes I feel like I shouldn't even be here. Like everything would be better without me." Shinji pulled her close back to him. "I'm sorry, Sayori. I don't know what happened that caused me to become distant from you, but now I can see that it really hurt you. I promise, I'm not going anywhere now. I'm here for you. Whenever you need me, I'll be there. You're not alone." Sayori continued to bawl her eyes out into Shinji's uniform. Shinji held his hand against the back of her head. He feels terrible for causing her to act like this, but he doesn't understand why. Is it because he cares about her, or is it because she's his friend?